On my birthday, my neighbor hijacked my Wi-Fi, blasted porn on my TV, then called the whole block over for a surprise. They watched me panic half naked. She laughed. But when I found out she was hiding from her ex, I made sure he knew where she was. I was still dripping from the shower when the first scream echoed through my living room. At first I thought it was a real person screaming. Then I recognized the sound, fake, over-the-top porn moaning, blasting at full volume from my smart TV. I froze, clutching my towel so tight it dug into my skin. My hair was soaked, water trailing down my legs, and the TV was lighting up my whole apartment with some disgusting, step-bro, garbage I'd never in my life searched for. I grabbed the remote. It didn't work. I yanked the plug from the wall. The TV did not turn off. Instead, the screen got brighter. The title changed. The volume went up even louder, so loud the walls vibrated. Then I heard knocking. Not one knock, not two. A whole cluster of knocks, like 5 or 6 people trying the door all at once. My heart shot straight into my throat. I thought maybe there was a fire, or an emergency. I thought maybe the porn audio had triggered some kind of neighborhood concern. But when I opened the door just a crack, still holding my towel shut with one hand, there they were. A literal group of my neighbors, standing on my doorstep like they'd been invited. And in the middle of them stood Mara, my neighbor across the hall, smiling like a damn game show host holding a new car key. "There she is," she cheered, clapping loudly. "Happy birthday," everyone laughed. Someone actually took their phone out and recorded me dripping, half-naked, and humiliated, while my own TV blasted porn behind me. Mara pushed her way inside, waving for the others to follow like she owned the place. "Oh my God," she said through giggles. "You should have seen your face. I told everyone you'd freak out." I tried to shout over the noise. "Turn IT off. Turn it off right now. What the hell did you do?" She shrugged, wandering around my living room like I was the intruder. "Relax," she said. "I just hopped onto your Wi-Fi. Your password was literally your dog's name. You basically asked for it." I felt sick, violated, exposed. I kept trying to fix the TV, but every time I touched the screen, it flashed to a new clip, like someone else was controlling it in real time. Mara winked at me. "Come on," she said. "It's just for laughs. Everyone does prank parties." Everyone? Who the hell was everyone? My neighbor Liz, who is a retired kindergarten teacher, looked horrified. The others were muttering, backing toward the door. But a few of Mara's little entourage, people I didn't even recognize, were smirking like this was the best entertainment they'd had all week. Finally, I managed to rip the HDMI cord out and throw the breaker. The apartment went quiet, except for my breathing, shallow and shaking. I turned to Mara. "Get out," I said. My voice wasn't loud, but it came out like a growl. She held up her hands, still smiling. "Chill, seriously. You're being dramatic. Number leave, all of you." People filed out awkwardly. Some apologized. Some avoided eye contact, but Mara didn't move at all. She just leaned against my door frame and whispered, "You should really learn to take a joke." She left. I locked the door. I slid down onto the floor, towels still clutched around me, shaking so hard my teeth hurt. But the worst part wasn't the prank, or the humiliation, or the fact that she had clearly hacked something in my home. It was what I found out 2 days later. After I dug into her name, her old social media accounts, and the digital trail she thought she had erased. It turned out Mara wasn't her name, and the reason she was hiding it was something her ex-husband had spent years searching for, and now I knew exactly where he could find her. Cliffhanger. Before the whole porn parade on my birthday disaster, I barely knew Mara. She moved into the apartment across the hall about 6 months earlier. She came off as one of those overly friendly, too loud, "Hey bestie" type neighbors you can't avoid unless you literally sprint into your apartment. She'd corner people in the mailroom, ask invasive questions, brag about knowing everyone worth knowing in town, and drop weird comments about people's finances and relationships like she'd studied their tax returns. I always kept my distance. Not rude, just polite and short. I work long hours at a veterinary clinic in Wichita, Kansas, and when I get home, I want silence. I want my couch. I want my dog, Scout. I do not want some nosy neighbor grilling me about my dating life. But Mara made a hobby out of poking around where she didn't belong. It started small. Little things you overlook at first. She'd joke about my Wi-Fi name, "Wow, original," make comments about the packages I ordered, new boots. cute, and randomly show up at my door to ask if I had extra creamer or a cup of flour. Whatever I gave her, she'd disappear for weeks, then show up again like we were friends. But a month before my birthday, things started getting strange. Scout would bark at my door at exactly the same time every night. I'd open it, and no one would be there. My lights would flicker on and off for a second, then go back to normal. My smart thermostat reset itself twice. I blamed old wiring and my sloppy habit of buying cheap smart devices. Then one night I got home from work and noticed the small metal plate on my deadbolt, the one that sits flush with the door frame, had tiny scratches around the screws. Like someone had tried to loosen them. I told myself I was imagining it, but I started locking my bedroom door at night. Then a week before my birthday, Mara knocked on my door with a bag of store-bought cupcakes. "I heard you have a birthday coming up," she said, leaning against my doorframe like she owned it. I froze. I had never told her my birthday. It wasn't on my social media. It wasn't on my mailbox. I don't celebrate it publicly. Only my parents and two close friends know the exact date. So I asked her, "How did you know that?" She grinned and tapped the side of her nose. "Little birdie told me," I asked who. She winked. That's when I realized she liked messing with people just to see how they reacted. She liked watching discomfort like it was entertainment. I blocked her number, even though I never gave it to her. I didn't want contact. I didn't want her in my space. And for a few days, everything was quiet. Until my birthday morning, when I woke up to all my smart devices logged out, except for the TV. The TV was already on, volume low, like someone had cued something and waited. That was the moment I felt something cold under my ribs, like I was being watched. And after the humiliation she caused later that evening, after she made me the punchline of her sick little surprise party, I swore to myself I would find out how she knew so much about me. So I started digging. Just normal, harmless curiosity. But what I found, it wasn't harmless at all. It didn't even come close. And the person living next door to me wasn't just nosy. She was hiding from someone. Someone she didn't want to find her. Someone who used to be her husband. And he had been searching for her for 4 years. Once I calmed down from the whole birthday nightmare, I sat on my couch with my laptop and started pulling threads. I'm not a hacker. I'm not even particularly tech-savvy. But humiliation has a way of sharpening you. I wasn't going to sit there and let someone violate my home and my body like that without at least learning who the hell she really was. First thing, her name. Mara Dillard. That's what she wrote on the move-in form posted in our building office window. But when I searched it, nothing came up. No Facebook, no LinkedIn, no old addresses, no phone records, nothing. Which is weird, even the most offline people have something floating around. So I searched her by image. I took a picture from the building's resident directory, ran a reverse image search, and waited. Nothing. It was like she didn't exist before 6 months ago. I started checking little things I'd noticed but ignored. The way she avoided giving her last name to delivery drivers. How she'd get weirdly defensive if someone asked where she moved from. How she once told our neighbor Liz that she didn't believe in banks and kept everything in cash now. Now I realized she wasn't quirky. She was hiding. But from what? The answer landed in my lap 2 days later. I had been back at work. Long day. A pit bull mix had swallowed part of a toy and needed emergency surgery, and I was dead on my feet when my phone buzzed with an email from a people search site I'd used. Possible match found. I opened it. There was a photo, not the exact one from our directory, but close enough, same face, same hair, same too-white smile. Name, Marissa Calhoun. Age, 33. Location, history. Colorado Springs, Denver, Topeka. Marital status, divorced. And then the line that made my stomach lurch. Protective order filed against subject by spouse, dismissed. Fraud investigation, pending, inactive. Last known residence. Unknown. At first I thought she had been the victim. Maybe she changed her name to escape someone abusive. I wasn't about to judge without knowing the whole picture. But then I found the public records from the dropped fraud case. And the victim wasn't her. It was her husband. The court documents read like something out of a bad crime show. Identity theft, credit card fraud, draining joint savings, forging his signature on loan applications, then disappearing. She'd left him with over $70,000 in debt and vanished before the court date. The case only went inactive because she literally couldn't be found. And all at once, everything made sense: the secrecy, the name change, the cash-only lifestyle. But there was something else in those documents that chilled me. Her husband had filed a missing person report the same month she disappeared. Not because he wanted her back, but because she had stolen from his family too: his elderly mother, his sister, his nephew. She'd taken everything she could get access to, and then she vanished. He'd spent years trying to track her down, posting on forums, hiring pies, leaving comments on old social media accounts she'd abandoned. Everywhere he wrote the same thing: "If anyone knows where she is, please tell me. She destroyed my life." I kept scrolling, my hands shaking. This woman, the woman who hijacked my TV, violated my privacy, humiliated me in front of half the building, wasn't just mean. She was dangerous, but the moment things truly escalated, it happened later that night. Around 11:30 p.m., I heard footsteps outside my apartment. Slow, heavy, stopping right at my door. Scout growled low, deep, not his usual bark. I crept to the peephole. Someone had slipped something under my door, a folded piece of paper. I picked it up with my fingertips like it might explode. One line, handwritten: "Stop digging." I didn't sleep at all. And the next morning, something inside me snapped, not fear, but clarity. If she wanted me to stop, I was going to do the exact opposite. I didn't confront her right away. I wanted to. God, I wanted to pound on her door and shove that handwritten note in her face. But there was something in the way the ink dragged on the paper, like the pen had been running low. The same cheap gel pens she always borrowed from the leasing office, that told me she really had written it. And if she was bold enough to slip threats under my door after hacking my TV, she might be bold enough to do something worse. So instead I went quiet. I didn't look at her when we passed in the hallway. I didn't respond when she made loud, passive-aggressive comments about paranoid people who think they're being stalked. I acted like nothing had changed, because silence makes people like her nervous. And sure enough, she started slipping. 3 days after the note showed up, I came home from work and found the fire escape window at the end of the hallway cracked open. Our building is old, the kind where you have to put your whole weight into forcing that window open. It never opens on its own. Scout sniffed it and whimpered. My stomach knotted. Then things escalated again, not in a dramatic Hollywood way, but in the slow, sick way someone chips away at your sanity. Packages went missing. My doorbell rang at 2 a.m. A maintenance request was mysteriously filed under my name that I didn't send. Someone tried to reset my router again. I knew it was her. She wanted me unstable. She wanted me scared. And she succeeded, until the night I caught her slip. It was 9:15 p.m. I'd just taken Scout out and we were heading back upstairs. From the bottom of the stairwell, I heard voices. 2 women, one laughing, one whispering urgently. She doesn't have a clue. Are you sure? Oh, please, I've got everything. She's practically a walking folder. I froze, so did Scout. The laughing voice was unmistakable, Myra. I stepped up one stair at a time and peered through the railing. She was standing with one of her little tagalongs, a younger woman I'd seen around the building a few times. And she was holding something. A manila folder. Thick, too thick. My heart slammed into my ribs so hard it hurt. The younger woman asked, "You even got her social?" Mara smirked. "People shouldn't leave their mail lying around. Besides, she owes me after the way she overreacted. I'm not gonna use it, probably. Just nice to have leverage. Leverage." She said it casually, like she was talking about a coupon. I stepped back before they could see me, but Scout shifted, nails clicking softly on the old wood. Mara stopped talking. Her head snapped toward the stairwell. I pressed myself flat behind the wall. My pulse roared in my ears. After a pause long enough to make my skin crawl, she said, "Let's go inside. I don't want neighbors hearing." Their door shut. I didn't breathe for at least a full minute. She didn't just violate my privacy. She didn't just humiliate me. She had been collecting information on me, my mail, my personal details, my identity. And she had no intention of stopping. The next morning, the real betrayal hit. An alert from my bank. Unrecognized login attempt. From my home Wi-Fi IP address. She wasn't just messing with my devices. She was trying to get into my financial accounts. That was the moment everything sharpened. My fear boiled into something cold and solid. And when I looked at the digital trail of her old marriage, her fraud charges, and the desperate posts from the man she'd destroyed, I realized something terrifying. She was doing the same thing to me. Setting me up, testing boundaries. Seeing how far she could push before wiping me out too. And in that moment the betrayal became clear and brutal. She hadn't picked me at random. She'd chosen me. The second I saw that bank alert, something inside me locked into place. Not panic, not fear. Focus. The same cold, steady focus I've seen pets get right before they decide they're done being pushed around by a bigger dog. A quiet, dangerous clarity. If she wanted leverage, if she wanted to chip away at my sanity, if she wanted to turn me into her next fraud victim, fine, I could play that game too, but I wasn't going to lose. I started with the basics, locking everything down like my life depended on it. I changed all my passwords, froze my credit, shut down every device she could have gotten into, pulled the breaker to my smart appliances, and bought a router that required a physical security key to access. But that wasn't enough. Stopping her wasn't the goal. I wanted her exposed. I wanted her caught. And I wanted her gone. So I dug deeper, far deeper than before. I spent my lunch breaks at work researching public court filings, old marriage records, financial judgments. I learned everything I could about the man she'd disappeared from. Evan Calhoun, 35, military vet, EMT, hardworking, not some violent monster you run from for safety. Everything she told people about her controlling ex was a lie. The real story was much uglier. She married him young, drained his accounts, stole his mother's inheritance, emptied the nephew's college fund, and once she'd bled them dry, she vanished with a clean slate. She only got away because she switched towns, switched jobs, switched names, and she wasn't just hiding. She was hunting for her next target, me. Once I understood that, everything clicked. The friendly check-ins, the excuses to enter my apartment, the constant questions about my schedule, the snooping through my mail, the hacking. She wasn't chaotic, she was calculating, but she made one critical mistake. She underestimated me, so I built a plan, step by step, methodical, document everything. I started recording the hallway on a motion camera hidden inside a fake air freshener. I took pictures of the scratched deadbolt, the fire escape window, the note she slid under my door. I screenshotted the bank alert and printed every file I found about her past, mirror her tactics. If she wanted to watch me, I'd watch her back. I tracked her comings and goings, the people she brought over, the nights she stayed up whispering on the phone inside her apartment. I noticed she always logged into the building Wi-Fi late at night. I logged the timestamps. Build a profile. I collected every detail about her previous life. Old family addresses, former jobs, her maiden name, her real birthday, the fraud case she thought she'd dodged. Find him, that took the longest. Evan had moved twice, changed jobs, and stopped posting online. But eventually, buried in a thread from a fraud victims support group, I found him. He'd left a comment under a 4-year-old post. If anyone finds her, please tell me. She destroyed everything I had. Prepare the package. I compiled everything into a single drive. Her new address, her new name, pictures of her, a timeline of her activity evidence. She was trying to access my accounts, and a statement detailing every violation she'd committed. Since moving in, I wasn't ready to send it yet. I wanted more, real proof she'd crossed a criminal line again. But the moment I finished organizing everything, something happened that snapped the last piece of my plan into place. A second letter slid under my door. Only this one wasn't a threat. It was a copy of my lease agreement. And across the top, written in thick, angry marker, were the words, "You should have stayed out of it." She knew I was getting close. She knew I wasn't scared anymore. And that's when she made her biggest mistake of all. She pushed too hard. Because what she didn't know, what she couldn't have known, was that I had just found out something new about her. Something big. Something that changed everything. The kind of secret that made even her own husband terrified of her. And suddenly, my plan wasn't revenge. It was survival. I didn't learn the secret from some dramatic discovery or hidden confession. It came from a boring, routine phone call. One of the lab techs at my clinic had gotten sick, and I stayed late to help run blood work. When I finally clocked out around 9:40 p.m., I saw a voicemail from a Colorado Springs number I didn't recognize. I almost ignored it, almost, but something in my gut told me to listen. The message was short, a man's voice, tired, cautious. "Hi, I'm not sure if this is the right number. I think you were searching for information about a woman named Marissa Calhoun. I just want to talk. Please call me back." My stomach dropped. I called immediately. When he answered, the first thing I heard was the way his breath stuttered, like he was bracing himself for bad news. "This is Evan," he said quietly. "Her ex-husband." I introduced myself, but he already knew my name. "I saw the search hits connected to your city," he said. "It means she's nearby, and if she's near you, then she's doing it again." His voice wasn't angry. It was sad, exhausted. Like a man who'd spent years trying to tell the world fire was hot, only to watch people keep touching it. I told him what she'd done to me, the hacking, the humiliation, the folder, the attempted bank breach. He didn't sound surprised, not even a little. "She always starts with humiliation," he said. "It makes people second-guess themselves. After that, she takes whatever she wants." I told him I had evidence, real evidence, and that I planned to expose her. Silence. Then he said something I wasn't expecting. "Please don't confront her alone." His voice cracked. He wasn't warning me politely. He was pleading. Before I could ask why, he continued. "You said she calls herself Mara now, right?" "Yeah. That was her grandmother's name, the grandmother who left her a trust fund she burned through in a year." I didn't understand why that mattered, until he said, "You should know something the investigators missed when the fraud case was active." A long, shaky breath. "There was another man, after me, a boyfriend. She met him when she was hiding out in Nebraska. She stole from him too. Cleaned out his accounts, but that's not the bad part." I felt scout press against my leg, sensing the tension in me. Evan lowered his voice. "That man disappeared, completely. Police questioned her. They couldn't prove anything, but they found his car abandoned near a river. His wallet was inside. His phone was wiped. His bank account emptied 2 days before he vanished." I swallowed hard. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying she didn't just ruin people financially, and I think she knows how to make people disappear." My whole body went cold. "And if she thinks you're a threat," he added, "she won't just stop at hacking. She escalates. Every time." I sat there in my car, gripping the steering wheel so tightly my fingers hurt, listening to a stranger tell me that the woman living 10 feet from my door might have done far worse than identity theft. But the twist wasn't over. Evan hesitated, then said, "There's one more thing you need to hear." My heartbeat slammed into my throat. "She targets people with predictable routines. People who live alone. People she can isolate." I barely whispered, "Why me?" "You weren't random," he said. "She picks people she can study." "I don't understand." "She only picks people who remind her of someone." "Who?" "Her mother," he said. "The woman she hated more than anyone alive. The woman she blamed for everything." The phone nearly slipped from my hands. "You fit the profile," he said. "Same age range, same job field, same look, same quiet personality she can exploit." I know this sounds insane, but it didn't sound insane. It sounded like my entire last 6 months suddenly snapped into horrifying focus. She hadn't just chosen me, she had pattern-matched me, on purpose. And now she was escalating, just like Evan warned she would, because people like her only stop when someone stops them first. But the real twist came the next morning. A new note under my door. Only this time, it wasn't a threat. It was a photo of me, taken through my living room window, at night, while I slept on the couch. And on the back, in her tight, impatient handwriting, "We're not done." I didn't scream when I saw the photo. I didn't cry. I didn't panic. Something worse happened. My mind went quiet. Completely, eerily quiet. Because that picture, me asleep on my own couch, blanket half on the floor, scout curled against my legs, wasn't just creepy. It was intimate, too close, taken from a low angle, through the tiny seam where the blinds didn't fully close. An angle you'd only know if you'd watched that window before. She had been studying me, tracking me, learning my patterns. Not because she was obsessed with me personally, but because she had a method. That's what Evan kept trying to tell me. She wasn't chaotic. She wasn't random. She wasn't playing a prank or acting on impulse. She had a reason. A cold, methodical, chilling reason. And I finally understood it. The next time I talked to Evan, it clicked fully. His voice shook when he explained it. "She believes people fall into 2 categories," he said. "People she can use and people who tried to control her." "And I fall into the first category?" I asked. "At first," he said. "But once you push back, once you prove you're not easy to manipulate, you become the second category. The ones she hates." "Yes," he said softly, "the ones she punishes." I leaned my forehead against my wall, breathing shallowly. "So she's doing this because I pushed back?" "No," he said. "She's doing this because you remind her of her mother." I didn't understand the weight of that until he kept talking. Her mother wasn't just strict. She wasn't just critical. She was the only person who had ever truly known who Marissa was, even as a child. She'd caught her stealing from relatives, lying, manipulating cousins and neighbors. She'd tried to get her psychological help. But Marissa learned early how to hide her behavior and how to weaponize other people's sympathy. And when she turned 19, she emptied her mother's checking account and vanished. Her mother died 2 years later, and Marissa told people she didn't owe that woman anything. So when Evan said I looked like her mother, when he said I carried myself the same quiet, structured way, it wasn't just a weird psychological quirk. It was the root of her cruelty, the fuel behind the humiliation, the reason she wanted leverage, the reason she needed me disoriented, embarrassed, afraid, and isolated. She wasn't just trying to break me for fun. She was reenacting her childhood power games with the woman she resented more than anyone else in the world. Her mother. And the most horrifying part? She wasn't even aware she was doing it. She just followed the same pattern each time. Pick someone who resembles her mother emotionally or physically. Insert herself into their life gradually. Undermine their routine. Humiliate them. Control them financially. Destroy them before they could hurt her first. A psychological loop. A blueprint. And I had been slotted into the mother role from the first moment she saw me. That's why she learned my schedule. Why she hacked my home. Why she humiliated me. Why she took the photo. She wanted to punish me. Slowly, strategically, deeply. Because to her, hurting me wasn't personal, it was familiar. When the reality of that settled over me, it didn't feel dramatic or cinematic. It felt numb. Because I realized something far darker. She was never going to leave me alone. Not until I became another chapter in her trail of problems she solved. So the reason she went after me was simple. Chilling, logical to her twisted mind. I wasn't a neighbor. I wasn't a victim. I was a stand-in for the one person she never got to destroy while they were alive. And once someone fits that role, she doesn't let go, ever. Which meant there was only one way this story could end. I had to end it first. The morning after I found that photo, I didn't shake. I didn't pace. I didn't stare at the blinds wondering when she'd watch me again. I sat at my kitchen table, poured a cup of coffee, and finished what I had started. No panic, no adrenaline, just a quiet, steady purpose, the same calm I get when I have to put down an animal in pain. A kind of mercy. Except this time, the mercy wasn't for her. It was for me. I opened the folder I'd put together, the notes, the screenshots, the audio clips, the timestamps, the hallway camera footage, the photo she took, everything. A full record of every violation, every threat, every escalation. Then I added one last thing. A copy of the photo she had taken of me sleeping, time-stamped, with metadata. And I wrote a short message to Evan. I believe she is preparing to do to me what she did to the man in Nebraska. Here is everything you need. I am done being afraid. I attached the file and hit send. He responded within minutes. I'm driving there today. While he was on the road, I handled the rest. I went to the leasing office with my printed documentation and filed a formal safety complaint. The manager's face drained of color when he saw the photo of me sleeping. You need to call the police, he whispered. I already had. 2 officers came to take my statement that afternoon. I showed them everything, the hacking, the attempt to access my accounts, the stalking. They asked if I felt in danger. Yes, I said simply. She escalates. They filed a report and said they'd talk to her, but I knew that wasn't enough. People like her don't stop because police knock on their door and say, cut it out. People like her stop when someone presses down on the truth so hard it claws its way into daylight. And that's what Evan was bringing with him. When he arrived that evening, he looked nothing like the desperate man in the forum posts. He looked resolved, like someone who had spent years with a ghost and finally found a body. He thanked me genuinely, quietly, and asked if I was sure I wanted to go through with this. I nodded. We went upstairs together. I stood far back while he knocked. When she opened the door and saw him, she didn't scream or faint or slam it shut. She froze, completely, like an animal caught in bright headlights. Then her face shifted into this twisted little smile, a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Evan, she said softly, you found me. He handed her the folder. No yelling, no threats, No theatrics, just the truth packed tight and heavy in a manila envelope. She flipped through it. Her smile faded, then disappeared. Then she looked at me, standing behind him. Something cold, sharp, hateful flickered across her face, the kind of look someone has right before they break something fragile. But this time, she wasn't in control. Evan said 4 simple words that finished everything. The investigators are reopening it. Her whole body went rigid. And for the first time since she'd moved in, she looked afraid. Real fear, not anger, not manipulation. Fear. We left her standing in the doorway, shaking, as the weight of her own past crashed down on her. Within a week, she was gone, evicted for safety violations and under investigation again. This time with evidence she couldn't run from, because I'd handed it straight to the person she'd wronged most. The night I watched her load her boxes into the back of a car with out-of state plates, Scout sat by my feet, calm for the first time in months. I didn't wave, I didn't smile, I didn't celebrate. I just locked my door, closed my blinds, and sat on the couch she had photographed me on. I finally felt peace. Real peace. And the kicker. This time, when my TV turned on, it was because I pressed the remote.